As Nigerians continue to wait to see which way the wind blows with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration, there is a lot to scrutinize. The president's first actions, the removal of the fuel subsidy, recent appointments, and even suspensions have given Nigerians much to talk about. A two-term governor of Ekiti State, Ayodele Fayose, is my guest on this NC exclusive. We'll be looking at why he supported President Tinubu against his party's political future, as well as his own. I'm Tolulope, Adeleru-Balogun. Welcome to this NC exclusive. Thank you so much, Mr. Fayose, for joining us. So let's start with sort of the present conversation happening now. We know that President Tinubu's electoral victory is being contested in court, and while the court has its judgment to make, there are those who believe that parties should sheathe their swords and move on, while others say that they will find the end they seek when the tribunal makes its judgment. Given how divisive this last election was, and many of the things that came up, particularly what people have described as wounds, what do you think should play out? How do you see things playing out?
Before now, and for future, and the future yet unseen, unimagined, as long as this world or this life still exists and Nigeria exists, there will continuously be litigations, disputes over election matters. By the nature of man, we don't concede readily, and that's the nature of man. And it's not peculiar to Nigeria, it's only more here in Africa. In America, as advanced democracy as they've gotten, former President Trump still believed till tomorrow that he was rigged out of the election as an incumbent. In the instance case, Tinubu there and then wasn't an incumbent. In fact, it was on the downside to his party's, going by the party's support for him, it was on the downside. And may I say very expressly that somebody must win an election. The first question I want to ask, and I keep asking, with all due respect, is let us put Tinubu aside and his victory. Whatever name they call that election, whatever victory, whether it is stolen, whether it is robbed, whatever name, let's put him aside. Who do we believe won the election between Atiku and Obi? That's the second question to ask. Then something is fundamentally wrong. And it is the nature of man to dispute, to disagree. The first question is, in the course of this tribunal, Obi and Atiku's camp had disagreed over issues. So who exactly won the election? So, to me, if you are destined to be on the saddle, it doesn't matter what people say, what people do, you will be. And we've all submitted to the jurisdiction of the court. And we should leave it there in the jurisdiction of the court. And if they say Tinubu didn't win the election, it's okay. If they say it's Obi or Atiku, it's okay. But allow the system to run its course. It got to an embarrassing level when people are saying that they should not swear in the president-elect. That is embarrassing, ridiculous. You can only walk with the dictates of the Constitution at a given time. You don't change the goalpost in the course of the game. The next question is, if they are the one, would they have said that they should not swear in? Would Tinubu side said they should not swear them in? So it's somehow it's funny. So for me, I have not seen anything gone amiss. You used a particular word, the wounds and that. You should remember before you join politics, that is home of cutlass and wounds. Before you join, if you don't know the history of your family, they will tell you inside politics. They will generate lies and paint you with those lies, and it will fit you.
Okay. So I like where you're ending that statement, because his first set of actions is where I want us to go now. So very early days of the Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration, but we've seen a number of steps, key steps from him in the first few weeks. He's removed fuel subsidy, suspended the CBN governor as well as the EFCC chairman. There's now a managed float of the Naira. We've seen retirement of all service chiefs as well, Controller General of Customs and a few other things. When you look at the president's first steps, what do you make of them?
Well, there are standard things to do for a serious-hearted leader, for a man who means well, who wants to prove his critics wrong. But you see, in the appointments, they're normal. He has to deliver on security and use men that he can trust. So that to me is not an achievement. It's just an apt action. It's not an achievement. It's just apt and sensible by taking out and replacing immediately. That's very strategic. Then when it comes to the CBN governor, it was a very good step in the right direction because it was a celebrated move, because Nigerians suffered by the actions and the activities of the CBN governor. And beyond that, don't forget how many petty little businesses failed, what happened in the capital market, a lot of challenges faced by Nigerians at the time. They can't forget. If there's one CBN they will remember for so long, it's Emefiele. And what's it matter? I have this for President Tinubu. Never allow a CBN governor, and he must be entrenched in the briefs, rules of engagement, that a CBN governor should descend into the arena of politics. In fact, that by itself is an economic war. And that must be investigated too. If the power and authority appoints you, you are now challenging the same authority that appointed you, and you are now leaving it in their face. It is utterly wrong and uncalled for. So far, so good, but not enough to determine his direction. It steps in the right direction, very apt steps by President Tinubu, but we're looking out for more.
Okay, so there's one in particular that I want us to look at, and that's the removal of the fuel subsidy. For decades, it's been a very contentious issue, and that's the fuel subsidy regime. Now, the Buhari administration made no budgetary provision, so it wasn't a plan necessarily of the Tinubu administration. It was just him in his inaugural speech saying, it's gone. There's no money for it, and I'm moving forward. But now there's a VAT on diesel, and Nigerians are also expecting an increase on the electricity tariff. Food inflation is historically high. We also have rising cost of living that's putting Nigerians under serious economic pressure. Should subsidy have been removed without the palliatives being in place, or maybe even without, at least before the refineries were up to some form of capacity, maybe 60%, even if not 100%? Was that the cart coming before the horse, or was it a very necessary evil?
Let me get very personal on you as a person, as an illustration to this effect. You do everything you do in your life anticipatorily, in hope, in good conscience. This man I want to marry is expected to be a good man. And in faith and in hope, you went into the marriage. You have not lived with the man. You hopefully believe you will live with the man. That is what Tinubu has done. Living in hope that certain decisions were long overdue. If I don't take this decision, like for instance, you want to do an operation, they tell you, if you do it, 50% chance. If you don't do it, 50% chance. Is equally good to do it. It only takes a courageous man to say, let me go by the knife. That might be better than for me to live dying. For Nigerians, it's only opposition that can be talking about this regime, this subsidy regime to be retained, or in the first place, when there was scarcity, build up, to that decision. People were buying fuel at the same price. The fuel will not be available. That will be hoarded. They still go there and say, oh, any amount, just put it in my car. Now Buhari has borrowed us out of shape. Buhari has borrowed us out of shape. And you now become the president. I was reading something before coming to this interview. So DMO saying Tinubu must stay away from borrowing. Who even wants to borrow Nigeria money now? We've gone beyond the elastic limit, so we have to look inward. So that decision, very painful, but the best way to go. But above that, a lot of Nigerians, a lot of people in that racket, it's a racket. The quantity that we use is inflated. At the end of the day, they go to sell it to other countries to make their money. So this decision has put everybody as leveler. And this is like the same as the two tier or two different prices of the dollar. Selling the dollar to some people at 400 and something, some buying at 750. Now the president has put them at par, reasonably at par. So what is the complaint? Some people should not be chopping more than the other. Must not be taking advantage of us. Let us go to the same market. By that, we will have a stabilized economy. Yes, it's going to be hard on the common man. But let me talk about this palliative we are talking about. It's good, but I don't believe in it.
Why not?
Thank you. The reason is this. When you roll out buses, for instance, as palliative, the buses will be driven by the president. No. By the members of his cabinet. No. The same people in the space, the populace, will begin to say, no, this is the price. How would the president come to each state and come and say, don't take it in this amount? When you roll out palliatives, they create benefits for some people. They begin to take advantage of it. At the end of the day, let me tell you the truth. This palliative we are talking about, you buy buses. Those buses will now, at one day, at some point, finish their lifespan.
But are buses the only palliative? Because there have been conversations around increasing the minimum wage, dealing with security so that eventually in a few months, food prices will come down. So that pressure is on a different way.
You see, let me put this clear to you. In fact, it's not only civil servants. So when you are saying increase the minimum wage, some states can't pay.
They haven't been paying.
No. God bless you. The old one, like Ekiti. Where will you get the money? Why would the Ekiti governor get the money? You should tell me. I was on that seat for 8 years, close to 8 years. That governor of Ekiti and the Ekiti economy, to do one road there, you have to sweat like this as a governor. Don't let us come out and be saying everybody is governor, but when our economy is not the same. So we must realize that more than 2/3 of the states in the federation, you can name minimum wage, but don't forget the capacity to implement. What you don't have, you can't give. It's sad, though. Let me say the truth. But the fact remains, it is optional. It's either you want to reduce your workforce, which equally has its own downside, and all that. So these things they are saying, palliatives is good. Palliatives, in terms of how does workers get to work, sometimes it's not even the public. The emphasis is more on the workers. The man going to the farm, which palliative is he looking for? What will he get? From where? The man going to his farm. So the reality is that, well, if it helps the mental psyche of people saying palliative, it's becoming ridiculous. It's just to deceive people for a period of time. It is fairly better to face the reality and move on.
Mr. Fayose, let's take a quick pause here. There's more conversations to be had on national issues as well as party issues right here on this NC exclusive. Stay with us.
Africa is rising. Again, we hear our sounds echo on the other side. Afrobeat and Afropop reinvented, hip life brought back to life, new energy infused into Kwaito and Kwela. Africa is balling. Every stroke, every shot, every raise, we find our place at the top. Taking the helm of real power, new hopes for democracies. A breed of entrepreneurial tigers, audacious storytellers, and a promising generation raring to go. Truly, Africa is rising. And this is where the stories that define our continent live.
You're watching this NC exclusive right here on News Central. My guest is Ayodele Fayose, and let's get right back into the conversation. So let's move on from that. And I want us to go to party matters now, because in March of this year, you stressed and you said you were stepping away from party politics and staying off the People's Democratic Party. And we see that the PDP has seemingly struggled to come to grips with its time as an opposition party. And now they're going to spend another 4 years as an opposition party. Let's say that, yes, if the court does not give it to them. But what do you think has gone wrong with the PDP? What has happened with the PDP to come to this place in time from being the ruling party to being the party on the outside?
Well, I don't want to hit the PDP again, sincerely. I don't want to hit the PDP. I'm not happy with the number of things, but the elections has come and gone. My position before the election that we want a Southern president. I supported a Southern presidency without apologies, and I would never apologize for that. And when President Tinubu finishes his tenure, we will all support another presidency. And this must be entrenched in our constitution to save us these issues. So
a rotational presidency entrenched in the constitution.
Going by our diversity, fair is fair. The moment, if the North has won that election, they will one day rise and tell us that it can be anybody. After all, Nigerians voted for him.
But it shouldn't be so. Are we not yet at the point of voting candidates based on merit?
No.
Voting candidates based
as
on
good as that,
where the country is going?
May I say to you, as good as that could look and sound, our diversity cannot uphold that. Look at this issue of the Senate presidency. Look at how Senator Yari came out and said this must come to the North. But these sentiments you can't take away anymore. It's too late. Religion has taken its place in our lives. Tribalism has taken its place in our lives. They are rooted in our body politics. Shine away from them, we end up in lie. I can't lie because of that. But it is in the wisdom of our forefathers who felt some things can keep us together. The agitation that was the Yoruba wants to go, the Igbo wants to go, is because of marginalization. And the marginalization we are talking about, if not addressed, will continue to take us backward. And lastly, I forgot to remind President Tinubu, he has been an apostle of every state being independent, federating units. I just want to remind him that is part of his duty. These are where the problems are coming from. You can't have an NMPC with 25 top officials and 17 from one region. Those are the things that is causing the problem in Nigeria. When we talk about fairness, it should be fair. Equity, it should be equitable. These are things I want to remind you. And you can only do that when you are courageous enough to do so. Not when you say, because of next election. Because of next election. That's not leadership.
Mm-hmm. So in terms of this Tinubu victory, you, as you said, were campaigning within the PDP for Southern candidates. And it was something that was a bit of a controversy within the party. You supported President Tinubu. You also campaigned, some would say, for Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu of Lagos State, both candidates of the All Progressives Congress. So some have said that this should be considered anti-party behavior, that even if the party did not go in the direction you would have wanted, you should have still openly and vividly and vibrantly campaigned for your party's candidate. How do you respond to that?
Let me say to you again, with all respect, I love the PDP. I flew the flag 2 times. And defeated incumbents, and till tomorrow I love the PDP. You may not love your husband to the point of beating you up. You will opt out of that marriage. My sister, you can threaten an old woman with everything. You can't threaten her with that other one. We have gone past that one. I supported Southern presidency and I'm not sorry. I have said it on television. I have not enjoyed anything from President Tinubu to say that is what I'm looking for. When I was governor of Ekiti State, I do adverts for him on all his birthdays. He wasn't contesting for president at the time.
So your love affair with President Tinubu is long-standing?
Yes, my belief is that Tinubu, before becoming president, was no other than the leader in the Southwest. When they call Nigeria together, Tinubu will be in the front seat, except we are deceiving ourselves. I've always done this. I've come out to say so many things positively about him. He was not contesting to be president at the time. But to me, we cannot see the truth and shy away from it because of, I'm in PDP. What is PDP? What is APC? Most people in APC, they are not proud of Buhari now. Are they proud of him? Are Nigerians proud of him? Are they not talking that Buhari destroyed the economy? Why don't you say he's a member of their party? So, please, being in PDP, being in APC, to what end? To what end? I have gotten a fair share of life. I'm not looking for anything desperately. And I'm not watching brief for Tinubu. If Tinubu does anything wrong tomorrow, I'll be the first to come out. I'll bear my mind openly. My needs are very little. This country is bigger than all of us. It's bigger than all political parties. It's bigger than Ashwaju himself. He's only first among equals. Blessed of God to be in that position. Does not make him a dictator over us. If he's not doing the right thing, I fought Buhari now. I came out with early people that were saying, this man will wreck this boat. I said it openly. When he was hidden somewhere in an hospital, I disclosed the hospital in UK, in West End. I didn't hide. That was the time they hit me with something, a gun in my, on my neck during the election. My sister, not all of us will be cowards. Today, I congratulate Tinubu. I wish him the best. But he must do the best. Nobody can finish it. He must be sane doing it. The ones he cannot do, he can't kill himself. So, for me, I supported Southern presidency. In these interviews, I don't want to start hitting PDP again because elections has come and gone. What they did to me, the party suspended me. The party expelled my own son. The party did so many things. So we must be dancing around them. Please keep eating us. That is why you have a court now. This set of working committee will come and go. There will be another one. 4 years is not a long time. Even Tinubu himself, 4 years will come and go. Buhari 8 years, people think we will never come out of it. But we are here. So PDP, congratulations.
While you have said you don't want to hit PDP, there is a question I must ask you, because we spoke with the former governor of Cross River State, Donald Duke, in a recent exclusive, and he told New Central that PDP should be grateful that your friend, the former governor of River State, Nyesom Wike, was the one who kept the party together for a long time. But then there are also those who think that Governor Wike, former Governor Wike, and then those who joined him in the Integrity Group or the G5 were actually destabilizing the party internally. So where do you stand on that? Did Wike really keep the PDP together, or was he a destabilizing internal factor?
You see, I will speak about Wike last, but let me tell you certain things. We know where we lost that election. We know where we lost it. I went to Atiku. I told Atiku at a Lagos hotel here, Your Excellency, I'm here at your invitation. Can I plead with you to go and meet Governor Wike in Port Harcourt without notice? We will go and wait for you there. If your convoy parks before at the gate, we will just say, oh, they said His Excellency Atiku is there. So we all, at that point, he has to receive you. Before I finished that statement, there was a senator there who told me, no, you can't do that. That would be insulting for him to go and meet somebody. So somebody will now start bragging that he came to him. You can't do that. The former vice president of Nigeria, our candidate, cannot do that. Oh, so kept quiet. My sister, Wike lost the presidential primaries. The day Atiku came to Wike's house, I was a spokesperson. Wike received him warmly. We spoke, and I told His Excellency Atiku Abubakar, I said, today you have the knife, you have the yam. Slice these things in a way that it will be edible. What were the demands on Atiku? Wike never asked for a ministerial position. Wike admitted that he was the candidate, and there was already a vice presidential candidate. The question was, make a statement that you will not do 2 tenors publicly. They said he can't make it. He can't say such. When he gets there, he knows what to say. So let us look at what led to what. If you cannot be committed to owning up to something publicly, when Obasanjo came into power, they said Obasanjo, they contested the fact that Obasanjo said he was going to do second term. Obasanjo said I did not say so. Nobody was able to bring a public document or public pronouncement.
So even with the former vice president, why an emphasis on one term?
Because of his age. He was 76 as at the time. After 4 years, he will be 80. And more to the fact that Buhari will be finishing 8 years. For us to equally cooperate and agree with you for another 4 years, our people must see your own commitment that you only spend one tenure, that we will not go into 16 years of the North because of the implications on our children's children. So that was fair enough. And when you are driving B and the direction you are driving is not okay, then I would not follow you. So I think you can understand where we were coming from. There were things that were not personal to Wike. Atiku making a statement that he's going to spend one tenor. How does that come as benefit to Wike personally? No. So when those things, commitments cannot be taken from him, you can't flow. And let me tell you, it doesn't matter whether they say Wike is not important. No wahala. I remember that in the 4 years, or the last 4 or 5 years, majority of the funds used to pay salaries, emoluments of staff, maintaining the secretariats were from Governor Wike. Let them deny now. Wike has his own excesses like me, like every other person. But when a man is doing well, it's fair. The fact that you have money does not say you are a good man, does not say you will spend it. It takes a good, kind-hearted human being to have the money and be able to spend it. Wike gives support to this party, helps this party. When this Modu Sheriff matter came up, Wike stood up. Majority of the people that in our party are leave service since we lost election in 2015. Where are they? Where are they? So I don't want to agree with anybody talking negatively about Wike. Like I said, he like every other person, he's not a perfect man. But we weigh his good sides compared to his downsides. Wike is a fantastic human being. Whatever you say about him, whatever you say about me, I don't care. I don't care. You understand? Today, the PDP can say we can go. They can say Wike can go. It's okay. What I'm saying to you is that these are matters for time. So that is it. Why I said I didn't want to hit the PDP is this. They are doing reconciliation. I met the acting chairman recently. He spoke with me, appealed to me that we should find ways and means to bring the party together. That's still fair talk. So I will not come here and be hitting them again. You understand? But if they tell me I'm not important, if they tell me I'm useless, after my sacrifice for this party, we were the ones fighting the cause of this party before Buhari and during Buhari's regime.
So do you still consider yourself a PDP member?
Which member will I be? I will never be a APC member. The issue, I will never, I've said it times without number. I will never, nothing will take me to APC. You don't have to be in any political party to be useful to this country. You don't have to be in government to be useful to this country. I've been out of office for 5 years. I was out of office for 8 years. I didn't die. So what I'm saying to you is that our needs are minimal. It's our greed that makes us to jump from one boat to another. So
you mentioned Ali Modu Sharif, and there are some that talk about your role in bringing him into
without
the party.
doubt.
So do you regret that role?
No. Life is a journey. Some you do it right, some you do it wrongly. You don't know. You can marry a man in good intention and turns out to be a bad man. No apology, sir. I was instrumental to his coming. And when we saw his hand, we went for him. When we saw his hand, we went straight for his neck. And I'm still available for all that, sir. Whether you keep me in patio, take me out of patio, I will fight. Be assured that I will fight. I don't shy away from fight, though. This is my own profession. You are eloquent in your language to me because you are a journalist. I'm not a journalist. This is the job I do. So if you want me as friend, I am available. If you don't want me as friend, I would do the needful too.
All right, so I want to talk about one of the main players that emerged for Nigeria's presidential elections, and that's Peter Obi, a former member of the PDP, then became Labour Party's presidential candidate. You've described him in interviews as a hurricane, doing what no one else has done in Nigeria in terms of politics for a long time. Do you think that Peter Obi has a path back to the PDP if he so wishes?
If Peter Obi comes back to PDP, he will lose the steam. He will no more be relevant. That's the gospel truth. It's his decision. I've said it in many interviews. Fundamentally, something is wrong in the PDP that needs to be addressed. PDP is a party for all, but a few people in the party today are destroying the party because of their own selfish interest. They knew at the time that power, that primaries was supposed to be for Southerners. They knew they set up a committee to go and do zoning. Before they finished, the committee finished his assignment, they've started selling forms. So where is the justice there? You don't understand what I'm saying?
I get you.
You set up a committee, I was a member. Go and zone this presidency either to north or to south. Before the committee even started, you have sold form to Atiku. So those are things that when you look at it, you see insincerity. And I need this to go viral. When Ayu knew very well where he was going, where was he playing the kite of I am fair. If you want to zone, allow the zoning committee to give you the report. So the zoning committee had no choice but to technically, so that there will be no fight in the party, took that decision they took.
So you've mentioned that there's a reconciliation attempt happening right now. They've reached out to you. So I want to ask you, do you think PDP has learned any lessons in the past 8 years? When you talk about equity and fairness and an effective process for selecting presidential candidates, what do you expect the party to do differently? If you're advising and you believe the party will take your advice.
Going forward, when things has gone this way, there's no election in the next 3 years. Make the party all comers. Fighting somebody like me. I have mouth. This is my mouth. I will be talking. I will be talking. If I cannot give you sledgehammer, I will go and look for a payloader to hit you. In times like this, the party is only open to party politics, except in states where you have governors. But when you are talking about federal election, presidency, The party should, the good and the bad. People like us, we are Wiki's friend, without apologies, and we try as much as possible to equally ensure there is harmony. You see, if you lose a Wiki, you lose all the former G5 governors, you lose Makinde, you lose Fayose, you lose this one. So where is the party? We are not the totality of the party. Well, where is the party? A leader stoop to conquer. I'm not contesting anything. They are the ones leading us. Let them tell me I'm not important. In due course, I will show them what I can do, what I cannot do. This is my mouth. As long as nobody has secured it, I can talk.
So let me come back to the Labour Party before we move away.
And the Obi you are talking, Obi, good man, loved by the people. I've said it severally. Even if you are talking, I've given you an illustration. Put Asiwaju aside. Who do we say won election between Obi and Atiku? That's one. Another thing is that there is a strategy to fight. If you fight today and lose, you can still fight another day.
So let me come to that.
Don't throw the baby and the bathwater away with this tribunal.
So let me come to that. Because when we look at the Labour Party, you've said that if Obi was to even attempt to return to the PDP, he would lose his team. He would lose the groundswell that came behind him. So in terms of your expectations for the Labour Party, maybe as Obi, as a national leader, given the structure we're seeing, or some would say lack of structure, what do you think the Labour Party needs to do to build on what they've achieved in 2023 ahead of 2027?
It won't be easy. Already now, you see that party itself is having a lot of issues. And in politics, you must not allow the party, any party that's going to challenge you, have peace now. It's politics. So we don't look at Obi to be building structure. They won't let him. They won't let him. It's natural.
Is it the internal party, or do you believe external players will be?
Anything. This game is anything. Politics is any method, especially here in Nigeria. Don't let us deceive ourselves now. You think they would, either PDP or APC too, would allow Obi to come like the way he came big? They've seen the weaknesses. You know, I've said Obi did well. I've said that he was loved. I said it was an hurricane. But he must manage those things and preserve them. If they're not preserved, you won't be able to pick the pieces. Obi, by the grace of God, had a great showing. Loved, like I said. But gradually, those teams have been lost. Even the people, his people criticizing, attacking people. To what end? To what end? Attacking? What does attack mean? If you abuse me, I abuse you back. I don't care whatever you say about me. I've had my times. What we are saying is that if I were Obi, after this election, I would tell the world that I will go and ventilate my anger in court, genuinely, peacefully. I will caution my supporters, and I will equally tell them, if he walks out in court, we'll go back to the office. If he doesn't walk out in court, there will be another time for you to support me. Don't let us throw the baby and the bathwater away. That is what I said, that if care is not taken, he will lose the steam, and the steam is being lost. Asiwaju by himself cannot form government alone. Because he needs everybody. That's why you see the G5 there, you see the Kwankwanso here, you see the former CBN governor. Every hands must be on them. It's Nigerian business. Somebody was telling me, if they give a Wiki appointment, if they give them appointment is different from party. Appointment from Tinubu is building the country for Nigerians, not building it for APC. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. In the days of Abacha, Minister Babatokpe, Bola Ige, and the number of them, join hands. Yes, a lot of people didn't like it. To savage the country. Our place, they said if you leave your clothes for the madman, he will wear it and tear it. For Tinubu to extend hands to people to come and join his government to make it better for Nigeria, I think it's in the best interest of Nigeria and Nigerians.
So earlier on, you mentioned that President Tinubu has been one of the proponents of having more independent states. And of course, federating states that bring to the center. And restructuring was a major policy point that we heard from the APC, even though if there was not action on that policy point. Do you see restructuring? Do you see the independence and the strength of the states under President Tinubu being one of his priorities?
I think he will do that. He started. The fact that telling states to generate electricity, doing this, that's the beginning. And that does not equally end with him. He has to carry on along the National Assembly. But he must be seen living by his words. Restructuring and states as federating units with autonomy, with respect for states, not somebody coming from Abuja to come and impeach a governor, to come and remove a governor. That is, I'm sure Tinubu will do a better job to this because he's been a governor before now.
Okay. So we've seen the removal of the EFCC chairman, and that again has now shown another light on the challenges Nigeria has with corruption. I'll ask a two-part question here. Do you think that the Buhari administration was successful in any way in fighting corruption? And do you think that the Tinubu administration will have any success?
Let me say to you, if I talk about Buhari now, they will say because I have EFCC case. So I don't want to talk about that. But everybody can attest to the fact that the fight against corruption under Buhari was selective. I don't want to mention certain people, certain things that happen in terms of the fact that they are naked truth. Who went after them? Some people were simply released. So how do you go about that? So a leader must have all sides to fairness. What is good for A must be good for B. So for me, Buhari, they will just say because I've been criticizing him. But everybody in Nigeria knows that Buhari is a colossal failure in all aspects. For me, I thought in his regime, we have $1 to 1 naira, okay, $1 to 100 naira. The way they were thinking was fuel, all refineries will be functioning by now, as at the time, and all that. Security was worse, terrible. So let us believe that Asiwaju will learn from this, give his best, and ensure the success of his own administration.
Mr. Fayose, I think this is a really good place for us to take a break now. We'll continue this NC exclusive with the two-term governor of Ekiti State, Ayodele Fayose, after this.
News Central TV, Africa's #1 storyteller, has come with the best of both worlds. With a combination of news app and live TV, we ensure that you keep track of the latest headlines, breaking news, and in-depth analysis from professional journalists from around the continent. Download the News Central TV app on Android and iOS and get started today. Don't forget to follow us on News Central's social media platforms. News Central, Africa First.
You're still watching NC Exclusive right here. I'm Tolulope, Adeleru-Balogun. My guest today is a two-term governor of Ekiti State, Ayodele Fayose. So in terms of federal policies, you mentioned earlier about Ekiti State, how difficult it was to get things done. Do you think, one, things have changed? And then when you look at federal policies that would possibly benefit Ekiti State, what do you think those policies could be?
Well, in Nigeria today, Ekiti has benefited the least, if I'm not making a mistake. But I heard lately that the flag off at the dying hours of Buhari's government, Akure-Ado Ekiti Road. Ekiti has not benefited anything. I just wish the federal government would be fair enough to at least give us some measure of presence. It's not been easy for Ekiti. I did some federal roads. I learned later that some of the money were refunded to the then Governor Fayemi. But if you look at the federal roads in Ekiti, they still have a lot to do for us. I did Ado to Ikere. I did a part of Ado to Ifaki, a part. Governor Segun Oni did another small part. But they are all losing, deteriorating fast. So my only appeal is that the federal government should be equitable, review what has happened to each state, which state has not fairly benefited, and assist that state. Whosoever the governor is the governor of Ekiti, does not matter. Which party produces it, does not matter. Anybody who is governor of Ekiti, we are bound to support that person. We're not supporting the personality of the government, we are supporting the state. So we were able to continue to make case for that state. And more to the fact that the sitting governor there is doing well. The sitting governor of Ekiti today, Oyebanji, is doing very well. He deserves to be supported. He means well for the average man on the street. So for me, today, I am a great supporter of Biodun Oyebanji.
Let me follow up with that, because when we spoke about President Tinubu supporting federating states, federating units, and states being more independent, it would lead one to naturally ask, what is the competitive advantage? What is it that Ekiti has that Ekiti can build on?
We have agriculture.
You have agriculture.
Full agriculture.
So should that then be on the federal government to unlock that, or not on the state government?
It's on the federal government to support the state. There is more to agriculture today than tilting the ground. Mechanized farming, a lot of things are done differently. In China, in India, in most countries, there are a lot of equipment now, mini modern equipment that will help farmers. You can't continue to use your back to pull hips together anymore. You see, we are using our back. Some people are using cow in the north. Whereas in advanced country, there's a small machine, less fuel consumption, that vibrates and keep the hips up for you. So for you, even if it's on agriculture, they come to our aid, and education will make a difference. When I was governor of Ekiti, I met education in number 35 in Nigeria. I brought it to number 2. I met Southwest number 6 and 5. I brought them to number 1 and 2. You can find out. My first tenure and my second tenure. So there are 1,001 ways that federal government can assist with grants. Our university is like a glorified secondary school. There should be intervention, because the students there are Nigerian students. They're beyond Ekiti, they're Nigerian students. So if you want to help states who are good in agriculture, look at the heavy irrigation funding by the federal government in the north. Maybe you are not aware of that. Heavy irrigation funding. So let them fund irrigation in Ekiti. Let them assist us with mechanized farming and make it a pilot for Ekiti. You see, if in a year, in the federal allocation that comes to the federal government, federal allocation to the federal government is still for the whole country. Let the federal government push like 10, 15 billion on Ekiti. You will see the impact. You will see the impact. That is the challenge we have. We have everything. We have good grounds. We have cocoa. We have, but when there's no money, you cannot equally plant yam. So, and the governor there, I'm sure, has a lot of debt to contend with too.
Left by who?
Well, I knew, and I say very expressly, I never left debt. I never took loan for that state. I never took loan for one day, either in my first tenure or my second tenure. But I'm not here to indict anybody. Borrowing is not a bad thing though. It's what it's used for. At the same time, paying back will weigh on the incoming administration like it's weighing on President Tinubu now.
Mr. Fayose, you mentioned your EFCC case. And that's a case that has stretched now into 2023 as well. You have, of course, pleaded not guilty to the charges the EFCC has laid. Would you care to speak to the status of this case, not in terms of the legality, but where it currently stands right now?
I wouldn't talk about it at all. I am the defendant in the matter. For any statement I make on this matter, it will be sub judice. Yes, you said I should not go into the legality. It is good for me to allow justice to take its course than running these issues. We have criticized the EFCC as running their affairs on the media space, but for me, I allow the whole thing to go through its process and to an end whatever end God has chosen it to be.
Okay, so now you've had 2 attempts, let's say that. 2 attempts at running for president. Do you see another presidential run somewhere in your future?
No.
Why not?
Because let us say Tinubu spends 8 or 4 years. It is the turn of the South to spend 8 years. In 8 years' time, I will be 71. These things that I'm criticizing PDP for, Atiku for, that is 70-something, I don't want to be president at that time. Even now, let us call it spade a spade. God has been fair to me. Every other addition is a gift of God, not because I want to overstretch myself.
So what do you see as your further involvement then in Nigeria's political space?
Adding my voice where necessary. Anywhere there's a need for me to play any role, not necessarily by becoming a minister, by becoming anything bogus. No. There are certain things for me. Look at my son. My son is 36, 36, 33. I feel my son should be more honored, given the privilege. I was governor at 42. So if my son becomes a governor at 40 or 38, it's a plus for me. So for me, any opportunity to serve Nigeria, I will be available, but not in any desperation for anything. Not going out of my way to start looking for what is not missing.
And this NC exclusive has been with 2-term governor of Ekiti State, Mr. Ayodele Fayose. He is one of the most vocal politicians of his time in Nigeria, from issues ranging from why he supported the candidacy of President Tinubu against his party's candidate, that is the former Vice President of Nigeria, Atiku Abubakar, to issues, of course, concerning his friend, former Governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, and the role that the 2 of them may have played within the party. He also spoke about his political future, or potentially lack thereof. And of course, issues also touched base with Ekiti State, the state that made Mr. Fayose a governor 2 times, not back to back, but in a few years separated. We bring you the newsmakers right here on NC Exclusive, coming to you on News Central. I'm Tolulope, Adeleru-Balogun. Thank you so much for joining me.